I'm gonna show you how I built this $900 gaming PC. Let's get started. As always, a full parts list, or in this case a link to the website where I found this part list, will be in the description. Now let's get started with the motherboard and CPU. As you can hopefully see, there is a small arrow on one side of the motherboard CPU socket. Be sure to remember this, as it is important to put the CPU in the right way. On one corner of the CPU, you can see a small golden triangle. Align it with the triangle on the motherboard and let it fall into place. But be sure not to make the same mistake as me and turn the small lever before you do it, because it won't fall into place otherwise. Then, once the CPU is properly into its socket, lock it into place by pulling the lever back down. Time for the CPU cooler. As you can see, mine already has a layer of thermal paste applied, so I don't need to add any. But if yours doesn't, be sure to buy extra thermal paste, or it will affect your CPU performance. Depending on your CPU cooler, you might need to remove these two things on the motherboard. I have no idea what they're called. But anyway, in my case I had to remove them. If you're not sure, check your motherboard and CPU cooler manuals. Be sure to carefully go around, tightening them bit by bit, one by one. Now come the RAM sticks. I've got 2 RAM slots and 2 RAM sticks, so in this case it doesn't matter. But if you have more slots than sticks, check your motherboard manual to know where to put them. Once you know where to place them, open the side hooks, check the notch and push them in until the hooks click back into place. Let's start working on the case. First, remove the left side panel. Now, take the motherboard I/O shield and put it in place by pressing each corner one by one until you hear it click. There exist different sizes of motherboards, so you might need to move the stand of screws. Normally the holes should be labeled by motherboard size, so you should easily know where to put them. When the stand-off screws are in their proper positions, you can take your motherboard and screw it in place. Don't tighten the screws too much so you don't break the motherboard PCB. Take out your power supply. Depending on the type, you might have to connect the cables yourself, or they can all be permanently connected, as is the case here. Remove the right side panel. Slide the power supply in place and screw it to the case. Pay attention to the ventilation. In my case it should point down, depending on the case it might have to point up. Let's start wiring stuff together. First, the front panel connectors. This is highly dependent on your case and motherboard, so you should really just check both manuals. The only tip I can give you is to wire each wire through the hole closest to its slot on the motherboard. Now for the hard drive. Once again, this is highly dependent on the case, but here I need to remove this thing first. Now take your hard drive and slide it into place. Then attach it with all 6 screws. Don't skip any. A hard drive has small moving parts, so it needs to move as little as possible. When you've attached the hard drive, take one of your SATA cables from your power supply and attach it to your hard drive. Then take your other SATA cable, which should be delivered with your motherboard, and attach it to one side of the hard drive and the other to any of your SATA connections on the motherboard. Solid state drive installation is exactly the same as hard drive installation. Finally, time for the almighty GPU. First, remove these small things on your case where your GPU will go. GPU installation is pretty similar to RAM installation. Turn the small hook out of the way and push your GPU in until you hear the hook click back into place. Then connect the power supply to your GPU. Now just hide all your cables and put your case back together. If you liked the video, be sure to leave a like and consider subscribing, I really appreciate it.